This is a special presentation of New York Mets baseball on the WB11.
From Turner Field in Atlanta, today the New York Mets try for the 6th time on the young season to crack the win column as they battle the Braves in Game 3 of the series. A superb April pitchers duel on tap. Pedro Martinez against John Smoltz. It is a perfect afternoon in Atlanta, but the Mets are a club getting desperate for a first victory. Today they'll ask Pedro Martinez, the new ace, to be the stopper. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Atlanta. Dave O'Brien along with Hall of Famer Tom Seaver. And Tom, this is one of those special days you talk about in baseball. Pedro Martinez, who for stretches, opening day against Cincinnati was unhittable. He struck out 9 out of 10 at one stretch, but he has to be John Smolt to get the Mets a win.
You're exactly right, David. One of the great draws in baseball is a pitching matchup, and you're going to have one here today. The new man for the Mets, their big acquisition along with Carlos Beltran, was really, really good with the exception of one pitch in Cincinnati. 1 point struck out 9 out of 10. You know, the visions of Koufax and Gibson, Drysdale, Marichal, you get that today with John Smoltz and Pedro Martinez. Smoltz with 163 wins, Martinez with 182, and between them 4 Cy Young awards. So it looks like a great game, and especially if you love pitching, should be very interesting for me.
Pretty good matchups there. The old days with Seaver and Carlton as well. Not too shabby. Talking about the premier pitchers duels. We have one for you on a sunny day in Atlanta, and it's coming up next from Turner Field. John Smoltz wearing the Sunday jersey, the home jersey in red for Atlanta today. The right-hander coming out of the Atlanta bullpen from a season ago where he saved 44 games. He is back in the starting rotation, but he got shelled by the Marlins on opening day, lasting just an inning and 2/3 in Miami. And today, this is the lineup he will battle for the Mets, brought to you by your Tri-State Quality Ford store. Starting off, Jose Reyes, good night last night, including a homer. Miguel Cairo gets the start at second, and Beltran, Floyd, and Minkiewicz. David Wright at third base with Castro, Eric Valent, and Pedro Martinez. And the first pitch of the day misses outside. We are underway on a glorious day in Atlanta. And a tremendous pitcher's duel coming your way with Pedro Martinez waiting his turn. Smoltz started the windup and then stopped.
One of the classic days of baseball, David. You hit both points to a beautiful day, Sunday afternoon, 71 degrees here in Atlanta, and 2 great pitchers on the mound. Perfect way for a Sunday afternoon.
4 Cy Youngs between them. Smoltz won his in 1996 as a starter. And after 3.5 seasons as one of the most dominant closers in the National League, Smoltz, who's now 37, is back in the Atlanta rotation. The 2-0. He drops in a strike on Reyes. Jose at the moment hitting .348. Got his first homer of the year last night as he drove one to left field. His first RBI as well. Cairo is on deck. Foul tip to the mitt. 2-2. And Smoltz blazing right out of the gate. His fastball will be up around 94 to 97. And when he's right, certainly he wasn't in his first start against the Marlins, but when he's right, a ridiculous splitter, and there's his swing and a miss for strike 3. We may see a whole lot of that today.
John Smoltz on the mound, the defense behind him for Atlanta, brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers in the outfield, Brian Jordan, Andrew Jones, and Ryan Langerhans. On the infield, Chipper Jones for Cal on the left side, Orr and LaRoche on the right side, and Johnny Estrada does the catching.
1 out. That brings up Miguel Cairo playing second base today as Kaz Matsui is resting. Cairo, the former Yankee. You look at his totals with the New York club last year. 292 with 6 homers. Very versatile player. And a very good infielder as well. He stings that line drive to center field for a base hit. So Cairo is on. 2 hitters in. The first hit against Smoltz today for the Mets. And Carlos Beltran is coming up next.
Take a look at it again. Ahead in the count. Smoltz comes right back with a fastball right down the middle, and Cairo getting the start today at second base for the Mets, right to right center. They had played right defensively. He goes the other way, went to the right side at second base. Good piece of hitting right there by Cairo.
Carlos 0 for 5 last night in the loss here in Atlanta. which put the New York Mets now at 0-5 to start the season. The home opener is tomorrow at Shea Stadium at 1:10 with the Houston Astros coming up. As you saw that strikeout, the 2400th in the career of John Smoltz.
Well, it's a kind of day, David. And you talk about, yeah, you're 0-5, and you certainly don't want to go home 0-6. Well, part of the problem with that, you got to exhale and you got to have fun. You have to enjoy the game, and you feel that there is a level of everybody seemingly having to hit the 5-run home run. I got to hit a 7-run home run today. You just have to do what you have to do, and what you can do, and don't expect anything more. Pitcher's thinking, I've got to shut everybody out and pitch a 2-hit shutout. It's kind of a psychology that a team has to adopt. We were down in the clubhouse and on the bench earlier before the ball game, and somebody says, anybody have any firecrackers? Let everybody exhale and just smile a little bit and have some fun.
Yeah.
And that's really what they have to do. And once they do get that win underneath their belt, and that kind of stuff will come. I mean, they were really relaxed in Florida. You know, they won one of the best records in spring training.
Smoltz fires that one, ripped but foul. Hit wickedly, but down that right field line into foul territory by Beltran. Carlos right now hitting .273 with a home run. It is a team pressing, and that's why you need a stopper like Pedro Martinez put an end to that. Finally get into the win column, and as you say, take a deep breath and relax, which was the way the Mets were playing in spring training, but Cincinnati changed everything. Well, that one bobbled out at second base, and Beltran will be safe, and so will Cairo into second. So an early break here for the Mets.
Well, the Braves only 2 errors on the season prior to that bobble. A double play. The ball hit sharply by Beltran, whether you'd have doubled him up or not, because the second baseman had to go to his left a little bit, and because of Beltran's speed, tried to rush it a little bit. With Cairo going into second base, so John Smolt will try to help his defense out here. This is another aspect of the game where teamwork really pays a dividend. I mean, your guys behind you make an error. Now it's up to the pitcher, and that's, Pedro does the same thing. John Smoltz does it. Maddox has done it. Glavine has done it. Pick your defense up and make that second baseman feel good about himself, and that's actually one of the things right now. It's in John Smoltz's mind.
Outside ball one on Cliff Floyd.
You know what?
Or bobbling a double play ball there.
Because that second baseman is going to get you out of a jam somewhere down the road as well. And that's where the teamwork issue comes in.
Well, let's see if Cliff Floyd can make them pay. 1 for 4 with an RBI last night. As he lets it go up and away. Minkiewicz, the on-deck hitter. And again, the Mets heading home against the Houston Astros tomorrow at 1:10 at Shea Stadium. Mets, incidentally, all time in home openers are 27-16. They beat the Braves last year in the home opener 10-6. The 37-year-old right-hander gets that one by Cliff Floyd. 2-1.
Cliff Floyd sitting on fastball and 2-0 count. John Smoltz pulled the string on something. Maybe it was just a fastball away, but it looks a sinking fastball as opposed to the four-seam fastball.
Looked like he had the split grip on it.
Well, a good movement at the hitting zone, didn't it?
He would not chase it, and the count moves in Cliff Floyd's favor here. 3 balls, 1 strike.
And Smoltz on that one trying to throw the ball 100 miles an hour or 150 miles an hour. Got his body out in front. You see the ball tailing out and away out of the strike zone away from Floyd. So again, Floyd in the driver's seat. 2-0 and 3-1. 2 counts where he's in the driver's seat against the pitcher for Atlanta.
Boy, that one dipped at 95 miles an hour. Nasty.
If that's a splitter at 95, that
illegal.
is almost illegal. You're right, and that's exactly what it is. Great movement on it.
Floyd 6 out of 25 all time against Smoltz. That's a .240 average, so not a whole lot of success. And not this time either. A swing and a miss. He went from 3-1. Floyd with a hitter's count to a strikeout. Second one in the inning for Smoltz.
Well, take a look at the grip here and see what you can see. Yep, looks like a cross seamer. No, he splits it. It's some sort of split fastball. And great movement downward. Look at that. Downward movement at the hitting zone. What confidence to throw that when you're behind in the count and when you're at 3-2.
So Minkiewicz will try and salvage the inning here. Doug has been up one time in his career against Smoltz, and he does have a hit. Cairo and Beltran on the bases. That's across for strike. And on deck, David Wright here if we get that far. 0-0 first inning. The Mets got a certain break on the bobbled double play grounder that Pete Orr could not handle. One and one on Minkiewicz, who was hitless last night. He was 0 for 3 at the moment, hitting .375. Smoltz from the set, 2 down. That one hit weakly and almost got the runner, but Orr fields this one, and they are out of the inning thanks to the strikeouts of John Smoltz. And here comes Pedro Martinez when we return to Atlanta. The 33-year-old Pedro Martinez trying to get the Mets into the win column, grab his first Met win. A starting lineup brought to you by a Tri-State Quality Ford store. For Atlanta, Rafael Furcal is followed by Pete Orr and then Chipper Jones, who homered here last night. Andrew Jones, Johnny Estrada, the switch hitting catcher. Then Adam LaRoche at first base. Brian Jordan at grand slam here last night. Langerhans is in right field, and Smoltz the pitcher and number 9 hitter. Pedro Martinez and John Smoltz have combined to win 4 Cy Young awards, but today marks just their second career head-to-head meeting as starters.
Pedro in his first outing, you saw, really pitched awfully well. Got a lot of strikeouts, just made really one bad pitch.
Yeah, that was to Adam Dunn, that 3-run homer.
Yeah, Adam Dunn with a 3-run home run, and that slew the dragon right there.
And Pedro would then strike out 9 of the next 10 Cincinnati Reds. Sean Casey was talking about it after the game. He said it was almost like Pedro admitted, well, you've had your fun. You got your 3 runs. And he said, I've really never seen anything like what happened after that. He was utterly unhittable. Little flare into left. Cliff Floyd looking into the sun. He's got it. Rafael Furcal is 0 for 1.
Got a second. We'll sneak in our Budweiser defense, brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers. And for the Mets in the outfield, Cliff Floyd, Carlos Beltran, Eric Valent left to right. David Wright at third. Jose Reyes, the shortstop. Miguel Cairo, the start at second base. Doug Minkiewicz, the first baseman. And Ramon Castro giving Mike Piazza a day of rest. He's behind the plate for Pedro.
Pete Orr stepping in, the second baseman. And he got bailed out by John Smoltz in the first inning, as the Mets put 2 on after he muffed that double play grounder. But the Mets could not score. Swing and a miss. And the count quickly 0-2 on Orr. Chipper Jones up next.
Fastball right down Broadway and late. One of the things that Pedro does, he changes speeds on his fastball. And that fastball that's off the plate is not quite as hard as the one that he throws right in on your fists. That's exactly what happened to Pete Orr right there. I don't know if he broke his bat, but he didn't get very much wood on that ball.
I know he's feeling it in those hands for sure. 2 fast outs brings up Chipper, who was 2 for 4 last night with a homer and a double. That home run, the 33rd he's hit in his career against the Mets.
It's a great pitching matchup today. Pedro and Smoltz, and they share so many characteristics, and we've talked about it so many times on the air, David, as both of them have great tempo. Both of them have great rhythm. They don't take very long in between pitches. They get a lot of first pitch strikes. They don't waste a lot of pitches. They have an idea about every hitter. Pedro's the kind of guy that really doesn't want to know too much about what the hitters can do and can't do.
Nice backhand stab by Minkiewicz over to Pedro Martinez, and it's 3 up, 3 down.
He knows what he can do, and he's said, go ahead and beat me if you can.
Just 8 pitches for Pedro to zip through the first inning in Atlanta. On this lovely day in Atlanta, we are back at it, second inning, and David Wright looking at a strike from John Smoltz. He'll be followed by Ramon Castro and then Eric Valent. It's 6, 7, and 8 for the Mets here as they try to get off the schneid here, starting the season 0-5 before going to the home opener against Houston tomorrow. David Wright at .267 at the moment with a homer. He was 0 for 3 last night. This is the 4th time he's ever seen Smoltz, and he's 1 for 3 so far. Smoltz looking much different than he did in his first appearance of the year back in the rotation against the Florida Marlins. He just collected his 3rd strikeout as he gets Wright swinging. One man out. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of Sterling Mets and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent of Sterling Mets. Castro to hit, Valent on deck. Of course, Smoltz was a dominating closer, and over a 3-year span, you can argue as good as anybody who ever did that job. Moving from the bullpen 4 years ago, really necessitated by his elbow injury and the Tommy John surgery. So, Tom, now he goes from 80 innings a year roughly as a closer to the expected 200+ innings.
He's probably thinking 230 to 250. And you know what? He loves it, too. This is what he wants to do. He's really glad to get out of that bullpen. I talked to Tom Glavine, because he and Glavine played together, talking about Smoltz and Glavine. Hey, you look at some of the numbers in his 362 career starts. 159 and 116. Very, very respectable ERA and a high ratio of strikeouts per 9 innings. I'm going to Glavine about John Smoltz. He said he is so happy to be back out there on the mound every 4th day. He's got that kind of personality. He's a guy that will rag on you in the clubhouse, and it becomes part of his, persona. And he is really happy to be back in a starting rotation.
Yeah, he truly yearned to get back into that spot. Strike 3. He's dealing, folks. That's 4 strikeouts as he gets Castro looking.
Well, this is breaking ball right in the middle of the plate. Absolutely fooled. David Wright struck out on 3 pitches. The strikeout pitch was a curveball, and he was absolutely fooled.
This was the point in his season debut that Smoltz was being lifted by Bobby Cox. An inning and 2/3, and he was gone. He was pretty sure that the Florida Marlins were getting every single sign, and they were sitting on pitches he thought they had no business hitting, and they were hitting them hard.
Well, they were talking to a couple of people around with the Braves organization. They were talking, it wasn't really signs, it was more location than anything else. It wasn't the pitch, but was the catcher moving too early and giving away whether Smoltz is going inside or outside. I don't really buy that.
You don't?
I don't really buy that, because John Smoltz's stuff is too good. Even if you know what's coming, doesn't mean that you pound him the way that the Marlins pounded him. I just don't buy that. I think it's just you hit a bad day, chalk it up, nervous, haven't started in 4 years, trying to throw the ball 150 miles an hour. Who knows what it is, but his stuff is too good for a club like the Marlins or any club whatsoever to hit it, even if they know it's coming. If you know that curveball is coming right there, you can't hit it. I mean, it's an amazing aspect of the game. Sometimes pitchers are so good you got no chance.
Valent just got a piece of it to stay alive.
And what's happening now too, David, is okay. You get 2 strikeouts in the first inning. Reyes and Cliff Floyd. First 2 guys in this inning, strikeouts. What begins to happen? Hitters go up there trying not to strike out as opposed to driving the ball. Well, this actually works against the hitter. Certainly works for the pitcher.
Valent stayed away. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And the Marlins got him for 6 hits and 7 runs in an inning and 2/3. Pedro Martinez, the on-deck hitter. Although Smoltz has never pitched well on that hill. He's had some of the worst professional days at Pro Players Stadium for himself. 2-2. Got him. He struck out the side, and that's 5 already for Smoltz. So that pitcher's duel that we were hyping at the top of the show, it is shaping up as precisely that. Pedro Martinez back to work facing Andrew Jones, and he stings that one. Cliff Floyd on the move, coming in on it, can't get it. It's out of the glove, up against the wall. Andrew Jones into second, now heading for third. Here's the throw, and not in time. Floyd went for it on the dive, came up empty, and then it was off to the races for Andrew Jones.
Andrew Jones in his lifetime 2 for 14 off of Pedro Martinez, and gets a break. It gets the ball by Cliff Floyd trying to make a shoestring catch, and the ball went all the way to the wall. First pitch, and ends up with a triple. Wasn't really busting it out of the box, and got Glenn Hubbard, the first base coach, to get down there and get to third base, and that's where he ends up with nobody out here in the bottom of the 2nd inning.
Why wouldn't he have been busting it out of the box?
Didn't look like he was really busting it to me.
But winds up at third nonetheless, and that's in for a strike on Johnny Estrada. Hitting .333 after he hit .314 last season.
Now this is interesting what you were talking about last night, David, too, about Estrada, who hates the strikeout. Runner at third base, you need contact. Mets are going to give up the run. Can you get the strikeout?
Now that middle infield backed up. Reyes and Cairo today. Wright and Minkiewicz on the corners. We can see that.
This is a real fun part of the ball game right here. Can Pedro get his strikeout against a guy that detests striking out in a situation that the hitter simply cannot strike out in?
1-2.
High fastball, threw it right by him upstairs. Boy, Pedro just cool as a cucumber, too.
Estrada just 66 strikeouts last year in almost 500 at bats. Got a lot of that one, but it ran in on him and he fouled it away.
See, this is another thing too, because John Smoltz did exactly the same thing to Cliff Floyd. I think it was Floyd last inning. Get the ball in there where the only place you can hit this ball hard is foul. You get it in so far in there that if you're going to hit it fair, you're going to hit a little blooper. As Pedro threw that ball exactly where he wanted to throw it because he knew he'd be able to get a strike, because there's no way you can hit that ball hard in fair territory.
Popped up over third, right fighting the sun into the outfield, makes a wonderful play in fair territory for the out. That's a sensational play by David Wright. Over the shoulder with the sun up in his eyes. That is a magnificent play. Our Subway defensive gem.
That's an absolutely beauty by David Wright, and the Mets get a break because the runner at third base, Andrew Jones, was down the line, and he's got to be tagging up because there's no way that you're going to catch the ball, fall, turn around, and throw it to home plate. He was down the line and had to come back to the bag. So a break for the Mets. Watch Andrew on this little bloop down the left field line. Goes away from the bag and now has to go back. I think he'd have made it easily because he can go as soon as contact is made by the defensive player. But Pedro is going for strikeout right here, I can tell you.
Well, the Mets bring the infield in. Andrew Jones there at third base with one away. No score, second inning. That's as good a play as a third baseman can make.
That's as good a play as you're going to see all year long by almost anybody.
High
Great
sky
play.
like this, tough sky, the sun, and over the shoulder or racing with his back to the plate.
In a game that has all the trimmings of a one-run ball game.
Exactly.
Knowing that every play that you make defensively has an impact on the game.
If that falls
That's
in,
what these kind of pitchers do.
Well, exactly.
This is what Smoltz and Martinez bring, Glavine, what they bring to it. Look at this play.
That's a
right
fair
there,
ball.
Boom, you go. Absolutely fair ball, and called fair by the third base umpire.
Adam LaRoche pokes at that one, fouls it away. 1-2. Pedro has yet to record a strikeout, coming off the 12 strikeout gem in Cincinnati. And it became a gem after Adam Dunn connected for a 3-run homer off him, and after that he gave Cincinnati nothing and wound up with no decision as the bullpen coughed it up. The 3-time Cy Young Award winner to pitch. The 1-2 swing and a foul tip to the mitt. He got him for strike 3. That's his first K today.
Looked like a sinker down and away. Four-seamer. Yeah, back out over the plate. Got a pitch to hit with a real big swing by LaRoche with the infield in. And 2 strikes. Did not get the ball in play. Pedro threw it right by him. Well, for 2 innings, price of admission is worth it so far in this ball game, isn't it?
Indeed. Here's Jordan now. Connected for the grand slam last night against Aaron Heilman. His first home run of the year. He's had some experience against Pedro as he looks at a strike and a little bit of success. It's not a big sample, but he's 5 out of 14 against Pedro. That's a .357 average, but 7 strikeouts. Andrew Jones at third. center field, but here comes Beltran. Routine play, side retired, and go back and earmark that catch by Wright, one of the plays of the early season. Top of the third inning, 0-0 Mets and the Braves here in the finale of this New York road trip. And the first pitch to Pedro Martinez is across for strike. The career batting average not much to speak of in 268 career trips. Of course, Pedro used to toil for the Montreal Expos, where he won his first Cy Young back in 1997. So he got a chance to hit on occasion, although not particularly well. Jose Reyes next, and then Miguel Cairo, as that one is down and away. Smoltz really dealing here. In fact, he has struck out 5 already in the first 2 innings, and 4 of the last 5. Starting to be mindful of what Pedro did on opening day against Cincinnati. 2-2 the count.
You watch John Smoltz throw, very compact, very together, everything, a great rhythm and a great tempo. And watch, if you can, feel how it explodes at the end. He collects and gets everything in the right spot, and then boom, explodes to home plate.
Another
Just
strikeout.
like that.
Yep,
another strikeout. A little overmatch right there.
A little
bit.
High-speed highlights come twice as fast from Time Warner Cable. Here's a look at the high speed from today's pitchers, and they're just warming up. Well, Pedro hit 95. I don't think he was much over 94 on opening day. He was consistently around 92 to 94. Smoltz has already thrown 96. Jose Reyes started the afternoon with a strikeout. He's 0 for 1.
It's another good time to mention that. You're talking about throwing 93 and 94, 95 and 96, David, because it's one of my pet peeves. And I mean, it looks great, but it's very important when, especially these two pitchers, if you think about it, as you watch them as you go through the course of this game, that velocity in effect is really the least important. You can make you dominant, but there's 3 things that you can do with a baseball. 3 things that can happen to it. It can have velocity, it can have movement, and it can have location. And that's all you have to work with. And really the least important is velocity. You get movement and location, and you watch both of these pitchers. Great movement at the hitting zone, and they make great location with their pitchers. We talked about it last night about throwing in off the plate. Both of them do it, so they can go out and get there out on the outside corner of the plate. But when you add the element of velocity to this.
Along the line, that's a foul ball. Home plate umpire Jim Joyce ruling it foul. Although Chipper Jones gloved it right along that chalk line.
And the ball cued right off the end of the bat, and before that ball gets to third base, it's the home plate umpire's call, and correctly called by the home plate umpire, Jim Joyce. But talking about when you add the element of velocity, when you can throw the ball, and this is where the radar gun comes into play, 94 or 95 or 96 miles an hour, depending on how very true they are.
Oh yeah, did not make a very good exchange from the glove to the bare hand, although I'm not sure it would have mattered anyway. It was hit so softly by the speedy Reyes, and he has a hit.
Yeah, base infield base hit. Burkow knows that he got to get it there because Reyes hustling down the line. Watch Reyes take off. Boom, he's smelling base hit right there. The only thing you're praying if you're the New York Mets is he does not pull that hamstring. To finish that aspect about when you add the element of velocity, that's when you get the multiple strikeouts. They just get the 12 and the 14 and the 15 strikeouts in one ball game.
Well, Smoltz with 6 strikeouts, but Cairo knocked the base hit to center field his first time up. And he is 1 for 1. Now, you mentioned, dominating pitchers, the guys who throw 95, 96. Greg Maddux has been a dominating pitcher throughout his career. Early in his career, he threw 93. But it's been a long time.
Not overpowering.
Not overpowering. Not a guy who was up there in the 95, 96 range. Are you saying you have to throw that hard to be a dominant guy?
No, not at all. That's when the strikeouts come in. That's my whole point. And your point well taken, because Greg Maddux, what are the 2 things that he has? Movement and location.
Sure.
He has terrific movement and great location. He changes speeds extremely well. And he's the kind of pitcher like John Smolt, almost exactly, except he doesn't throw the ball 96 miles an hour. And if he did, he'd have 3,500 strikeouts by now, 4,000 strikeouts. That's the difference. When you can overpower somebody with great location and movement, you're going to get a bunch of strikeouts. Greg Maddux gets, It's like a toy. He's toying with hitters sometimes, and he can get a hitter to hit it right where he wants it.
Yeah, with that phenomenal late movement that he has, Reyes thought about going, but this one hit into the alley by Cairo. That's going to settle down between Jones and Jordan. Deep out there. Reyes heading into third. They're going to hold him up there at the last moment. Thrown to third. He's way off the bag, and he's out. He came too far down the line, and he's tagged out.
Boy, speed is a wonderful thing. Manny Acta, the third base coach, trying to get a very aggressive base runner to pull up at third base, and doesn't hold him in a great play by the shortstop. Hit into left field, Reyes, who has blinding speed. Right there, he's got to pick up the third base coach, and he did not. You got to pick up the third base coach early. As soon as that ball is at his back, as soon as you can't see the ball anymore, you've got to pick up that third base coach. There's only one player that was allowed to do that, and that was Willie Mays. So a great defensive play on both sides of the ledger here today. One by right for the Mets, and one right there by the team for the Atlanta Braves.
Out number 2, raced at third. At first, Manny Acta was sending him in, and then changed that sign and applied the brakes, and Jose just went too far. But give Furcal all the credit in the world. That was a dart of a throw, fired into third, and it turned out not a close play as Chipper Jones had that tag waiting. Beltran swings and misses for strike 3, and the Mets will strand a man once again. That's 3 in the game. 7 strikeouts for John Smoltz in 3 innings. Bottom of the third inning, it's Pedro Martinez against John Smoltz today. Ryan Langerhans steps in. He's hitting .333 at the moment. Bobby Cox playing the youngster in right field. Then it'll be Smoltz and Rafael Furcal here. Great to have you along on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. And a pitcher's duel extraordinaire here at Turner Field. Pedro so far has allowed a triple to Andrew Jones, but he got a marvelous defensive play from David Wright at third. A Jim Edmonds kind of play out of a third baseman. Diving into the outfield with his back to the plate. Great change up there. 80 miles an hour by Pedro. 2-2. And so the Mets have used that defensive play to keep it 0-0, but that one trickled towards second base. Cairo will field a friendly hop and get him. Mets are also a team not only in search of their first win, but in search of a break. Hey, this season, your Tri-State Hyundai dealer at WB11 are teaming up to help kids strike out cancer. Every strikeout recorded by a Met pitcher will add $75 to the Hope and Heroes Children's Cancer Fund. So far, Pedro with 1 in the books. John Smolt swings the bat really well, as I'm sure you know by now. Also swings the golf club exceptionally well. So, you know, in the back of John Smoltz's mind, as avid a golfer as he is, he's pretty much a scratch golfer. He is dying to get this game over as quickly as he can and get in and watch the Masters. Although he wants to play in it one day, and he has played at Augusta. And from all reports, and we get a lot of them from fellow golfers who happen to be Major League Baseball players, he is very gifted, particularly with the irons.
They say he hits it a country mile, too, which I would believe.
Well, that helps.
Sometimes doesn't know exactly where it's going, but if you're a scratch golfer or playing 2-1, you're a good golfer.
Did not offer. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Until they bring the fairways in a little bit, move that pin placement, and move the tee back about 40 yards.
Make it a little fairer.
Made it a little bit more difficult for. I know it doesn't pose a problem for you.
Not for me, not for a big hitter like me, Tom. 1-2 breaking ball to beauty, and Smoltz will take a seat.
Not fair. That goes against the pitchers union right there. That is not fair. Thou shalt not curveball the opposite pitcher. That's right at the top of the list.
There are plenty of exceptions, though, and when you're a pretty good hitter, you gotta know that's coming. And Smoltz becomes the second strikeout victim of Pedro today. Here's Rafael Furcal. He is 0 for 1 with a fly to left. Scoreless here in the bottom half of the third inning. Furcal just made a tremendous play here on that gap shot by Cairo. The Mets did not score, did not catch a break, But because of Furcall's arm, you hold that runner at third to begin with, Tom.
Well, that's just fine defensive play right there.
Near collision, but Wright makes the catch with Reyes sliding in behind him. That's brutal today, but Wright has been equal to the task. Well, the zeros are piling up here. Our Toyota line score. We are 0-0 through 3 innings. Not unexpected with Smoltz back in the rotation for Atlanta, and Pedro Martinez bidding for his first Met win. And Cliff Floyd, who was a teammate of Pedro's when they shared the same dugout in Montreal, leading off the inning, trying to get something going against Smoltz. Cliff is 0 for 1 with a strikeout. And Smoltz has whiffed 7 in the first 3 innings, including the side in order in the second. And he is right on the black, 93 miles an hour to get in front 0-2.
Well, we talk about location being so very important. Absolutely perfect. Perfect. Will he go to the other side of the plate or stay away? It looks like he's going away.
1 ball, 2 strikes. It's been a long time since the Mets have seen John Smoltz in a starting capacity against New York. 1999, September 21st of 99. He beat the Mets 2-1. It was right before his Tommy John surgery the following year. And then he would become a closer who saved 154 games. Swing and a miss. Floyd is retired. Strikeout number 8. He gets Floyd for the second time today.
Breaking ball. Yep. Curveball down out of the strike zone. You have to defend against the fastball. He throws the off-speed pitch out in front of it. Floyd strikes out for the second time of the ball game. Both these pitchers that are throwing today do such a very good job, as you look at Mankiewicz and his numbers, of staying right on the rubber and balanced on that right leg. Neither one of them, he or Pedro Martinez, get off of it. They don't rock back and forth. They don't lose their balance. They don't become subject to fatigue in their legs. Both of them firmly planted on that right leg, right on the rubber, and they use it just like a fulcrum and then drive and explode right at the end. This is really a treat.
1 out, bases empty, 1 strike on Mankiewicz. Right over the top of that one.
Another fine breaking ball. Looks like it's going to be a strike and comes out of the strike zone. Looks like it's going to be right there, and boom, it's gone. You're swinging at a pitch out of the strike zone because you have to commit. Perfect pitch.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone throw a split finger fastball harder than John Smoltz. He can get it up there in those low to mid 90s ranges. Ground ball yanked to LaRoche, an easy play for out number 2.
You look at split screen here and watch it. Watch the right legs. Watch how the balance stays on the right leg with Smoltz and then explodes at the end. That's just spectacular right there. Pedro, spectacular. Both of them really never get off that right leg. That is their fulcrum, their balance point. 2 of the best in the business.
David Wright now going after the first pitch, fouls it back. He struck out in the second inning. David pretty loosey-goosey. I can't say that's true of the entire Mets squad. This is a team pressing right now and feeling the weight of 0-5. But the 22-year-old Wright, I mean, a lot of that is being youthful, I think, but he's having a great time. Didn't have a great time in the second inning, and he's 0-2 here to Smoltz.
Well, this is a little bit of graduate school right here. This is something that he will remember. And this is not, some piece of cheesecake you're hitting against. This is one of the best in the business.
Crowd wants a strikeout.
I asked him in spring training, I said, do you wish you'd only had X amount of at-bats so you'd have qualified for the Rookie of the Year this year? So that would have made sense to me. He said, heck no, I wanted to get to the big leagues. Ball off the plate inside.
Well, he's made the defensive play of the day. The 1-2 got a piece.
Keep yourself alive. Good hitters. Now here's another lesson. We've been talking more about the pitchers. Let's go to the hitter's side. Is if you can't get a base hit, if you can't drive a ball someplace, keep yourself alive and take the pitcher's pitch and at least foul it off and give yourself a chance. And then when you get the mistake, you've got to hit it hard.
On the corner, got him looking. Number 9 for Smoltz.
Not going to do anything with that one.
He strikes out right for the second time. Underway in the bottom of the 4th inning in Atlanta. Pete Orr in the box. Then it's Chipper Jones and Andrew Jones. Already ball 1 from Pedro. And on the second pitch, it's popped up to short center. Reyes and then Cairo, and Cairo's got it for out number 1. Look now at the out-of-town scores brought to you by Toyota. In the American League, the Yankees trailed 2-0 in the 3rd inning. In that game, Carl Pavano was hit by a line shot off the bat of Miguel Tejada of the Orioles. Had to leave the game. Tanyan Sturtz replacing him. We'll see if we can get you an update. Red Sox leading Toronto 1-0. Cleveland out in front of the Tigers 7-2. And we'll do the National League coming up as Chipper Jones is up at the bat. He is 0 for 1. He has grounded out as he looks at a strike. National League scores now. They are 0-0. Washington and Florida in the 3rd inning. Everything else just about to get underway or a little bit later. On the senior circuit. Off the corner on Chipper Jones. Chipper coming into today just 4 for 29 off of Pedro Martinez. That's a $138, although he has homered twice. I'm talking about the Boston Red Sox in a game today against Toronto in the 3rd inning. Tomorrow the Red Sox are home for the first time this season, Fenway Park. They will take on the Yankees at 3:05. And the Red Sox will receive their World Series championship rings. A ring that Pedro Martinez has essentially said Red Sox can keep as far as his is concerned. Just outside. This is Pedro's first 3-ball count of the day. Hasn't walked anyone yet. 3-2 now to Chipper. He does walk him. With 1 out, Atlanta has a base runner here in the 4th inning. Andrew Jones, first time up, he tripled underneath the diving Cliff Floyd out there in left field and rolled all the way to the fence. But he was stranded out there. Thanks in large part because of a spectacular diving catch by David Wright, the 3rd baseman, to steal what would have been a bloop double down the left field line by Johnny Estrada. Right back to the net. He was right on that 93-mile-an-hour fastball.
Right. Andrew Jones, first pitch swinging the last time up, hit that triple that got by Floyd, going after the first pitch here and just missed it. Got it back just about, well, out in front of the left hip. Not quite out in front as much as he would like to get. But he was right on it. He got that fastball timed. He gets something off speed here, you would think. Now it goes right back with a fastball. Look at the movement. Look at Pedro's movement on that ball. It looks like it's going to be outside, and it brings it back to the outside corner. Starts away, hitter gives up. Look at the ball come back. See the ball come back, spinning back.
You know what? He did let up on that pitch because that was 83 miles an hour. That was not his fastball.
Yeah, Pedro gets on. He just spins that ball so much, and he can. And if you overthrow it, it's not going to come back.
0-2 is up high.
You got to let that rotation overtake it so it can come back to that outside corner. It's a beautiful pitch because you deceive the hitter and you make him give up on that pitch.
But he has the same release point, same arm action as the fastball. Hitters talk about this all the time with him. They get struck out or whatever. Everything looks the same.
Sure. One of the keys. And that's all I was talking about. Look, oh, there's the breaking ball there. Yes, sir.
Number 3, third strikeout of the day for Martinez. And he got Andrew Jones all confused on that at bat.
Just did not see it at all. He gave up on it. He thought it was a fastball. That's a hanger right there. That almost out of the strike zone. It almost was a curveball was too high. He caught the ball where the catcher Castro caught the ball was right about mid-thigh high, but when it went by the plate, it was up above the letters.
So 2 down. Chipper at first base for Johnny Estrada. 0 for 1 today as he takes the fastball up top.
David, we were talking about before about both these pitchers being on that right leg in the windup. Certainly much easier in the situation when you man on first base and you're going from the stretch. But it lets you be consistent. And you're talking about what you're talking about, the delivery point, etc. And that's what happens when you got great body control. And both these pitchers have terrific body control. And they really explode at the end, and they get to the same release point where you just can't pick up the pitch. How many pitches have you seen called strikes just like that one, and the hitter goes away and he almost shaking his head? Perfect.
The 1-1 to the switch hitting catcher. And Martinez will step off the rubber. Pedro last year with the Red Sox, helping them get to the World Series and eventually win it. Went 16-9, an ERA of 3.90. Made 33 starts. The Mets want to see him make 33 to 35. Fastball is inside.
Pedro is on track to make 32 starts this season. And they've really run the numbers on him, and they feel that he is 6 innings or 100 pitches max. And they don't want to see him go by 32 or 33 starts at all. That's why he didn't start last night. He's run on track for it. The Mets are really convinced that that is the right thing to do with him.
Breaking ball misses the outside corner.
He tried to throw that 150-mile-an-hour curveball. Got underneath it, spun the ball. Curveball is a great pitch to set up another curveball. If you're in a strikeout count, that's not the situation here. And you see the count there, 3 balls and 1 strike.
2 down, a runner at first base, and the 3-1 is roped into right field. That's a fair ball headed down the line. That's going to rattle around in the corner. Chipper Jones into third. He's being waved in by Freddie Gonzalez. He will score standing up. It is 1-0 Atlanta. Estrada tattoos a run-scoring double on a day when 1 might be enough.
Well, you got a hitter's count, 3 balls and 1 strike. Fastball came. That's that strikeout pitch earlier in the inning. Got down in that corner. Eric Valent actually played this ball well, and the ball ended up kicking back away from him. And that allowed Chipper Jones really to score easily. Right here was in question mark. If that ball comes right back to Valent, Chipper Jones may be held up or not even be able to score. So the Braves get a break here on a pitch by a good hitter. Johnny Estrada gets a double down in that corner, and first blood drawn by the Atlanta Braves.
Here's the second Atlanta hit of the day, but it brings in a run, and now a man in scoring territory for Adam LaRoche, who struck out in the second inning. Inside at the knees. I think it's a good point you make, Tom, about that ball sticking down there in the corner and bouncing away from Valent, who seemed to have it set up to play it perfectly. And it's the kind of break Atlanta frankly has been getting, because they're not swinging the bats terribly well. They were hitting .213 coming into last night.
Hitting .213, you don't want to be hitting against Pedro Martinez either. And it is a break, because Eric Valent played that correctly. He was out there working on that before the game during batting practice.
High pop up into shallow right field. Cairo using that glove to shield his eyes. He's got it. Out number 3. It's the kind of break the Mets are not getting these days, but the Braves are. John Smoltz with 9 strikeouts so far today through the first 4 innings against the Mets, and now he has a 1-0 lead as we bring you the 5th inning. Ramon Castro to lead it off, Eric Valent, and then Pedro Martinez, all of whom have struck out today in their only plate appearance against the Atlanta right-hander, who has fanned 7 of the last 10. Smoltz coming out of the bullpen in past years, but he immediately surrenders a base hit to start the 5th. Castro is on with a single. So a good start to the inning for the Mets. And Mets fans, Pepsi invites you to show up at Shea on Wednesdays for free admission to the Pepsi Picnic Clinic. The first 1,000 fans with an empty Pepsi can or bottle will be admitted to the Pepsi Picnic area for free. The Wednesday action begins on April 13th when the Mets host the Houston Astros at 7:10. So bring a Pepsi and show up at Shea for free. Eric Valent now, he is 0 for 1 with a strikeout. And at the moment hitting 111, going after that first pitch, and the Mets seem to have gone with that philosophy over the last couple of innings. First ball swinging quite a bit.
Well, both of these pitchers have immaculate control. And you're not going to get many situations where you have what you call a hitter's count, 3-1. The base hit that drove in the run was in the hitter's count, and you don't see it very often.
Foul ball at the plate. It got a piece of Eric's foot. Pedro up next, and then Jose Reyes with the leadoff man on. Career high in strikeouts, incidentally, for John Smoltz is 15. Way back in 1992, he did that against the Montreal Expos. It was his first go around as a starter. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Valent.
The point you make, David, when you go back to 1996 when Smoltz was 24-8, the classic year that he had. And why do you go after the first pitch? Well, that year he had 276 strikeouts. 276 strikeouts, 55 walks. So you're not going to be ahead of the count very often anyway.
That one yanked through for a base hit. Valent is on with a single. Castro into second. And so for the first time since the 3rd inning, the Mets are starting to put something together. In the 3rd, Reyes had an infield single. Cairo doubled, but Reyes was out at 3rd on a wide turn.
Well, we talked about it earlier. Don't miss the pitch that you get to hit. Valent gets a breaking ball just middle away, belt high, and drills it right into right field. So number 7, 8 in the lineup, back-to-back singles, and brings up Pedro in a bunt situation. Now you got a guy that's been in the American League. How well can you function? Pedro worked very, very hard on his bunting. He'll try to bunt it to 3rd here.
Takes the ball here. Chipper Jones right in his face as he was charging in. Same with LaRoche at first.
I was talking to Al Jackson, who works during spring training, former Met left-hander, and he said Pedro he worked extremely hard on his bunting. He was very dedicated.
Castro at second, Valent at first after back-to-back singles. Gets down the bunt. Smoltz looking at 3rd. Guns there. In time. Back over to first. Not in time for the double play. But out at 3rd is Ramon Castro. Well played by the athletic Smoltz. And the bunt right back to him in any event.
Your point well taken. Very athletic. Very well played by the Atlanta Braves. The 3rd baseman charging hard. Chipper Jones. The shortstop Rafael Furcal covering at 3rd base. And thinking double play, very well executed by the 3rd baseman, by the pitcher, and by the shortstop.
So Pedro becomes the runner at first. Valent into second with 1 down, and here's Reyes. He's 1 for 2 with an infield hit, and he slices a foul out of play. The 21-year-old switch hitter had been 0 for 4 against Smoltz in his career before the infield single in the 3rd. Miguel Cairo perfect today, 2 for 2. He's up next. The Mets looking to draw even here. Fought off, and it's 0-2. The Mets coming home to face the Astros on Monday at 1:10. It's the home opener for New York at Shea Stadium. The Mets have won 8 out of their last 10 home openers, incidentally. Andy Pettitte back in New York. The left-hander goes for Houston against Tom Glavine. And Wednesday at 7:10, Roger Clemens will pitch for Houston. No throw by Smoltz, and Valent gets back in. The 0-2. Fouled it away off the catcher Estrada. Might have gotten him right on the toe.
Estrada mad at him. I think he thought he could handle that ball and hold it for the strikeout. It popped out of his glove. Foul tipped by Jose Reyes. Let's see if that's right. Yeah, it was. He wanted the strikeout right there. Break for the Mets.
Now Furcal scurrying in, and again Smoltz steps off, but no throw.
That's kind of a no-lose situation for Furcal back there, because what you do, even if you cannot pick the runner off at second, if you shorten him up 1 step, it makes a big difference if Reyes gets a base hit in the outfield.
Swing and a miss. took a little something off that, and he strikes out Jose Reyes, and that's 10 now for Smoltz today. The Mets' upcoming schedule now brought to you by the Canadian Tourism Board. And here it comes. The Houston Astros in town for 3, and then the Florida Marlins at Shea over the weekend. Pedro's next start will be on Saturday at 1 o'clock right here in the WB11. Second time Reyes has struck out. Again, 10 for Smoltz. Cairo tried to hold up, but he could not. That's a strike, says Laz Diaz.
Well, Cairo here looking fastball. You say, well, you're going to get the pitcher's best pitch, runner scoring position. Going to look at fastball, guess fastball, and commit to it on the first pitch. Boom, and great call by Smoltz or either Estrada, depending on who's calling the ball game. Totally fooled Castro.
That's on the outside corner. A called strike to make it 0-2.
This is as good as it gets right here. Both pitchers get in trouble. Both of them doing what they're supposed to do. One-run ball game. Bunch of strikeouts. The ball club that's really looking for a win in the New York Mets to get off the schneid.
Smoltz with an 0-2 pitch. Got him. 11 Ks for Smoltz. Painting the corners. He's done it since the opening inning. Bottom of the 5th inning. Pedro's first pitch to Brian Jordan. Jordan is 0 for 1. He is flied out to center field. Langer hands and Smoltz to follow. Down the line in the air, and that's going to go foul off into the corner. Atlanta has only 2 hits so far today against Martinez. As we look at the Dodge trivia question this afternoon. And who holds the Mets record for most strikeouts in a single season? The Met pitcher who holds the record for strikeouts in a single season. I believe I'm sitting next to him. You think there's a possibility it might be Doc?
How about Doc? Could be Doc. I don't. That'd be another trick question from the truck, huh?
Oh, they are tricky down there.
They try to be tricky. They think they can fool us.
They're efforting the trickery, but not sure if they're going to deceive us today or not.
Efforting the trickery.
1-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, and a meager wave by Jordan for the 4th strikeout of the day for Pedro.
Now the breaking ball. Perfect location. Absolutely picture perfect. Rotation top to bottom. Going away from the right-hand hitter. As good as it gets.
Fouled off by Langerhans, who is 0 for 1.
Great shot of Pedro's eyes right there, isn't it? Going toward home plate, never wavering, taking his eyes, and they're right on the location. See his location. He sees his spot where he wants to throw it. Immaculate control.
2,668 strikeouts earlier today. He reached that, tying him with David Cone for 19th on the all-time list. He just struck out Jordan, so no longer a tie there with David Cone. He has 19th place all to himself. And he's in front 1-2 on Langerhans here. Missed the inside. You've used that word several times today in describing given pitches or series of pitches by Pedro and John Smolt, who has 11 strikeouts.
Which word?
That's perfect.
Perfect. Picture perfect. Right velocity, right location. Looks like it's going to be out of the strike zone. Comes back to it. Looks like it's going to be in the strike zone and goes outside, committing the hitter to swing. And you don't have this kind of game without having that. We've only been 7 hits in the ball game. A bunch of strikeouts.
3-2.
Both these pitchers work very quickly. You and I talk about a number of slow pitchers that are in the big leagues. Put their infield and their infielders and outfielders to sleep. Pedro, he works as quickly as anybody. And Smoltz is right behind him. There is no wasted time and there is no wasted effort in their windup and delivery.
Swing and a miss and a late cut for strike 3. 94 miles an hour. Back-to-back strikeouts for Pedro. And a look now at our Dodge trivia question. We'll give you the answer as well. Among Met pitchers, who holds the record for single season strikeouts? And
I'm going with Doc.
I'm going with you, meaning Tom Seaver.
Oh.
289 in 1971. That wasn't even a year you struck out 19 in a game, which was 1970, I believe. We talked about Pedro's 9 out of 10 strikeout streak there in Cincinnati. You're one of the few guys alive who knows what that feels like, because you once struck out 10 consecutive batters in a game against the San Diego Padres.
At Shea Stadium.
Record that still stands. It was April 22nd, 1970. Question I always have for you is 10 in a row. That's great, but why not make it 11?
The game was over.
Pedro cooking here. 3 straight Ks as he allows Smoltz to take a seat for a moment. A spectacular day here in Dixie from Atlanta. It's 1-0 the Braves as we move on to the 6th. Moving along pretty quickly as Carlos Beltran hits. He is 0 for 2, having reached on an error and struck out. Every Met has struck out at least once today except for Doug Minkiewicz. 11 strikeouts for Smoltz, and he and Pedro have combined for 17 through the first 5 innings today. The only run the Braves got in the 4th inning, and that started with a walk. A 1-out walk Chipper Jones reached, and then with 2 out, Johnny Estrada doubled down the right field line, and that has been the extent of the scoring. Beltran could not hold up. He went around. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He's just been filthy all day, hasn't he?
Just great deception. He got it in the hitter's mind, and that's exactly what he is doing. They're looking for fastball and getting the breaking ball, and then they get the fastball, breaking ball, looking for fastball. They got absolutely backwards.
12 strikeouts for Smoltz. Mets baseball being brought to you by White Castle and the new chicken sandwiches. They're the new Big Crave. The Mets do have 5 hits. They have had scoring opportunities, amazingly enough, despite the incredible stuff that Smoltz is dealing today. Cliff Floyd will be the first one to admit that. He has struck out each time up 0 for 2.
Or tardy on that one. It's almost like Smoltz is finally getting loose here. He threw that ball right by Cliff Floyd. That was right down Broadway going, here, if you can hit it. If sometimes you know as a pitcher you get the ball by a hitter, you just throw it as hard as you can, knowing he can't get the bat head out front. Wow.
Smoltz has already struck out 11 more hitters than he did in his opening day start against the Marlins. When he lasted just an inning and 2/3, they tattooed him for 6 hits and 7 runs. Didn't even get through the 2nd inning. He had 1 strikeout. Off speed pitch down low. 1-2 on Floyd. The right-hander going for his 13th strikeout. The breaking ball missed the outside edge. 2-2.
Well, that's a hanging breaking ball right there. Bad pitch by Smoltz. There's 2 things you can do here. You can use that as a setup. This ball is too high at the hitting zone. See how high it is? That's just as it went by the plate. It's about waist high. Sometimes you can use a breaking ball to set up the breaking ball.
Foul tip to the Met, hung on by Estrada. Strikeout number 13. Let's get a look at all of his Ks.
This is a bunch of them. Only 3 have been called, 10 by swings. He has been absolutely overpowering, inside, outside, breaking ball, fastball, splitter, immaculate control. That'll get you some punch outs when you have that kind of stuff that Smoltz has here today.
This is the one Met he has yet to get in the strikeout column. Minkiewicz, who has grounded out to 2nd and to 1st. John Smolt, 16 out of 23 first pitches have been strikes. Bases empty, 2 down. 1 ball, 1 strike. Smoltz last season out of the bullpen for Atlanta saved 44 games, posting a 2.76 earned run average. That's a strike. And he was a brilliant closer. 154 saves, joining Hall of Famer Dennis Eckersley as the only two in Major League history with 150 saves and 150 wins. And he is a long way from being finished. The 1-2. Back to the net by Minkiewicz. David Wright on deck if given the opportunity. The crowd chanting for strikeout number 14. That's what they want to see here at Turner Field. He gets it. He strikes out the side for the second time today. He gets Beltran, Floyd, and Minkiewicz. Minkiewicz for the first time. Bottom half of the 6th inning. Rafael Furcal leading it off for Atlanta. The Braves lead it 1-0. They got the only score of the game in the 4th inning. And the way John Smoltz is pitching right now, which is out of this world, that just might hold up on this Sunday afternoon. Smoltz with 14 strikeouts through the first 6 innings. And you're thinking the same thing that we are. You're thinking about the all-time strikeout record probably as Cairo digs this one out over to Minkiewicz. One away for Pedro Martinez. Hey, tomorrow at 8, hit the beach for the 2-hour season finale of the WB Hit Summerland. Join Lori Loughlin and Jesse McCartney for a full night of Summerland. A special time tomorrow starting at 8 right here on the WB11. Of course, the all-time strikeout record is 20. Roger Clemens did it not once but twice in his career. Kerry Wood as well with the Chicago Cubs. But through 6 innings, 90 pitches for Smoltz. And he has tallied 14 strikeouts. Smoltz allowing 5 hits. Pedro has allowed only 2, but he's behind 1-0. Facing Pete Orr here. The second baseman is 0 for 2. And he fouls that one back to the net.
Good cut. Got a pitch to hit, hang and break him on the outside part of the plate. And the reaction after the swing, he clicked his head. This is a ball he could drive out to left center. He was thinking of it, and all of a sudden, oh, I know I'm not going to get too many of those, and I missed it at the bottom half of the ball.
Late swing and a miss for strike 3. That's 7 for Pedro Martinez. He sends Orr back to the bat rack, and there are 2 away in the 6th inning.
Well, point being, you're not going to have too many pitches to hit. That one perfectly placed on the corner by Pedro Martinez. Breaking ball. Nope, breaking ball in the outside corner, perfect spot. Or in that at bat had one to hit and missed it. These 2 guys today, you're not going to get more than one, maybe all day long.
Fouled away by Chipper Jones. 0 for 1 with a walk and a run scored so far today. Chipper trying to help out John Smoltz, who may not need more than the one he has. He has been nothing short of sensational so far. Poked foul, and it's 0-2. Now, Pedro struck out the side in the 5th inning as he fanned Jordan, Langerhans, and Smoltz. Picks up another one here, getting Pete Orr, and now he's 0-2 on Chipper Jones. High fly ball deep to right. Vallette hitting for the corner on the track, right near the wall, and that one goes foul. It sounded like Vallette run into a truck down there.
Is that one of the weirdest swings you have ever seen in your entire life?
That ball was way up high when he went after it.
That looked like it was up over his head, hit it straight up in the air, right down the line. And I'm thinking he has a play on it. I thought the ball was going to be fair, and he hooked it foul just by a fraction. Good play by Vallette. Oh, almost got there. Boy, that was a funky looking swing, wasn't it?
Well, another 0-2 effort from Martinez. Good breaking ball, and he struck him out for his 8th K of the day. So the strikeouts are piling up on both sides. It's still 1-0 Atlanta. Well, a dynamite pitcher's duel today between John Smoltz and Pedro Martinez as David Wright looks to get the ball in play for the first time today. Look at our Toyota line score, and just the 1 run in the 4th inning for Atlanta. That's been it. The Braves have only 2 hits against Martinez, who has been terrific. He struck out 8. But right now he's behind, and Wright trying to do something about that. But David has struck out twice, and he's in the hole 0-2 here. Smoltz with 14 strikeouts, 1 strike away from tying his career high for strikeouts in a game. Put in play, it skips off the mound for a call with it. Gets him at first, 1 away. It's gotten to the point today, the way Smoltz has pitched, Tom, where the fans are disappointed by anything other than a strikeout.
Well, the last inning, he strike out the side. He struck out 5 in a row. We go to commercial, and what the first thing you and I started talking about? We're talking about Roger Clemens and Nolan Ryan and Kerry Wood and what is the record? And are you sure it's 20? Yeah, it is 20. And he finishes 6 innings, and he got a chance for 24. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, as advertised, more ways than you could count between these 2 pitchers today. Oh, look at that breaking ball.
Well, the other thing that is symbolic of how dominant he's been, it's either strikeouts or groundouts. Nothing has been recorded in the air today. So they're not getting any swings that they can lift off of Smoltz. And he's not making any mistakes. Right through there, and it's 0-2.
It's like an umpire behind home plate. Jim Joyce like a machine. 18 of 25 first pitch strikes. All the things that a good pitcher does and does correctly, and it's happening on both sides of the ledger here today.
The 0-2 hit hard, and that's going to be through for a base hit. Died a bit on the dirt, but he got enough muscle on it for Ramon Castro to get his 2nd hit of the day. He is 2 for 3.
The crowd was getting into it, starting to think strikeout. No balls and 2 strikes. Look at this, pretty good pitch, but a good piece of hitting by Castro. Not trying to pull the ball, actually hit the ball right off the end of the bat, but you can see his intention, trying to hit the ball to the right side.
It's been a long time as he faces Valent here. Since John Smoltz has thrown 100 pitches in a game, and he's starting to get in that area now after the last 3.5 seasons as a closer. The question is going to be, how full is the battery?
Stamina. Interesting point here too. So what depends on what happens, and you got Pedro on the on-deck circle.
And do you hit for him? If this runner gets down to second base, Castro at first with 1 away.
Pedro, and I don't think you can. I don't see on a 1-run ball game you can take him out of the ball game. He's only at 76 pitches. Talking about Pedro, he has 8 strikeouts himself. He's out in the on-deck circle.
Now it spits away from Estrada, but not far enough, and Castro stays put.
The point being, does Pedro have 1 more inning? Part of the Mets' thinking is that Pedro is going to be a 6-inning pitcher. Well, he might be at 85 pitches by the time we get through the 6. Nobody warming up.
Yeah, there's your indicator.
I can't see how you could take him up before, at least even think about it before he gets close to 100 pitches.
Fouled away by Valent. I think if this runner Castro does not move up 90 feet, it becomes a moot point anyway.
I would agree. There's no question. If he does get to second. Let's say he gets to second base with 1 out, with 2 outs.
Well, this next pitch will be the 100th of the day for Smoltz. The 1-2, breaking ball inside. All even now on Eric Valent. Eric getting a lot of playing time these days with the DL stay of Mike Cameron now on the disabled list with tendonitis. He'll be eligible to come off next Saturday. Two inside. Good eye by Valent to let that one go. The pitch count starting to get up there.
Well, how gutsy are you, David? You're the manager. 3-2, 1 out. They're playing behind the runner at first. Stay away the double play. Do you start the runner? They do.
Swing and a miss for strike 3, and no throw there by Estrada.
And they caught Castro sleeping back there. I don't think he saw the runner at first base. If he kept throwing and go on through, you'd have had an argument that Valent was in the way, and it could have been interference. Look at the swing and the miss, and Valent gets right out in front of the catcher. If he'd have followed through right there, you might have gotten an appeal play and been out at second base.
Estrada never triggered the throw. And the Mets have the tying run at second, but it's 15 strikeouts for Smoltz as he gets Valent that ties his career high. And Pedro will bat for himself here. And it's backhanded by Smoltz. He flips onto first, and he's out of the inning. And even Pedro Martinez gives him a little congratulations there for the kind of day it's been for John Smoltz. Pedro denied a hit on the bouncer up the middle, and Castro is stranded. And Smoltz has been magnificent. Pedro Martinez with 8 strikeouts on the day after 12 on opening day. Now our Toyota out-of-town scoreboard. Baltimore has a 6-0 lead over the Yankees. The Yankees being no hit last time we checked. Boston and Toronto in a 1-1 game in the 5th inning. Later on, it's Texas, Seattle, Kansas City against the Angels. Later tonight, the White Sox in Minnesota. Johan Santana on the mound. 7th inning, Washington and Florida, 0-0. A lot of low-scoring games today, and we certainly have one this afternoon in Atlanta. And the pitching has been brilliant. 1-0. The Braves have the lead as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Pedro Martinez goes back at it against Andrew Jones, Johnny Estrada, and Adam LaRoche. Pedro with 20 strikeouts over his first 2 Mets starts so far. By himself, John Smoltz has 15 today. And Andrew Jones has tripled and struck out. He will lead off the inning against the 33-year-old from the Dominican Republic, Pedro Martinez. A career winning percentage of .705. He has thrown 77 pitches today. Pretty economical, Tom. 53 for strikes.
Both pitchers actually pretty economical, especially you're talking about Smoltz, and you've got a bunch of strikeouts. You're certainly going to rack up a bunch of pitches.
You know, earlier we were talking about John Smoltz and where he might finish today on the all-time strikeout list for a single game, and the fact that Roger Clemens twice struck out 20, and Kerry Wood of the Cubs also did it. There's a swing and a high pop up into foul territory right down the line. Makes the catch. Really battling that sun. 1 man out in the bottom of the 7th inning. Well, Randy Johnson also struck out 20 in a game, but it was over 9 innings. 9 innings of an 11-inning game.
I'd say down in that corner, that's probably the double that scored Andrew Jones. Ball kicked away from Eric Valent. He was playing it correctly, waiting for the ball to come around and hit something that bounced a bit away from him. And it come right to Valent. They may have had a play on Jones at home plate. Maybe.
So Estrada with the RBI double to chase in Jones, and that run has held up. 1-0 Atlanta. That happened in the 4th. Estrada really good hitter, particularly with men in scoring position, where he was .338 last year. The Braves were wondering, with Javi Lopez gone from the catching spot, gone to Baltimore, would they get the same kind of offensive production? Well, they certainly did in batting average. Right there again, he's been a busy third baseman today. 2 down. Adam LaRoche coming up next. And the Mets will have the top of the order up when the 8th inning gets underway against Smoltz.
Adam LaRoche has probably had the best swings all day against Pedro Martinez. Nothing to show for it, a strikeout and a pop to second, but he's had a couple of swings where he's been right on the ball. This is one out of the strike zone there.
Pedro been changing speeds beautifully all day. Changing eye levels. Got them in order in the 1st inning.
Expanding the strike zone. The hitters are letting him let that strike zone grow. Both pitchers have done it. I mean, a beautiful job of it. They're protecting now. You know, we got hitters being defensive. Roach hasn't really It looked like he's very defensive. He's having some pretty offensive swings. That's why I say he probably has had the best swings all day against Pedro.
He has struck out and popped up so far as he looks at the strike. We talked about Pedro's winning percentage of .705. He's 182 and 76 in his career, but that winning percentage, second among any pitcher who began their career in 1900 or later. Easy stop for Cairo, and it's a 1-2-3 inning. That was just 8 pitches to get through that frame. Reyes is coming up to face Smoltz again. John Smoltz has recorded 15 strikeouts. He has tied his own Atlanta Braves strikeout record for a single game, and now it's Jose Reyes, Miguel Cairo, and Carlos Beltran here in the 8th inning. Jose on the afternoon has an infield hit sandwiched around 2 strikeouts. And every Met who started the day has struck out at least once. On the corner, a strike to make it 1-1. Smoltz would have to strike out the side in the 8th and the 9th to set the all-time strikeout record for a single game. And 5 out of 6 to tie the 20 strikeout record.
Well, that's a beautiful pitch right there. Off-speed pitch, breaking ball. Reyes has had pretty good swings all day at the fastball. That's actually a pretty good pitch to hit. But the young Reyes not really, he's just sitting on that fastball, and rightfully so.
Little dribbler up by first, but foul. The man on deck, Miguel Cairo, even though he was struck out looking in the 5th inning against Smoltz, has also had good swings against the right-hander. He has a single and a double. 2 of the 6 hits the Mets have managed. Atlanta has only 2 hits against Pedro. Line shot, that's a base hit. Last couple of innings, the Mets getting much better swings with Smoltz pitch count moving up. Over 100 now as we look at the Jeep game summary. Reyes aboard. 1-0 at the moment. That run scored in the 4th inning. Martinez has 8 strikeouts. Smoltz with 15. The pitcher's duel we anticipated. Andrew Jones with a triple, but eventually he was stranded there. And as mentioned, this man Miguel Cairo with a pretty good day going.
Pretty good day going, a pretty good back control right here. Good speed at first base. Will Willie Randolph do something to try to force the issue? I think you've got to do something to use Reyes' speed at first base. Big hole on the right side.
Not running, bunting. Drop down. Smoltz has to field it bare hand. Gets the out at first. And that's the play that Willie Randolph chooses. The sacrifice bunt to get Reyes into scoring position. Bullpen activity now. A lefty and a righty working out there for Bobby Cox. The tying run at second here in the top of the 8th.
I think it's part of a psychological game. Well, Willie Randolph is thinking about in that situation. Normally a play that you're going to do on the road, but if you can get your club even with Smoltz, you might psychologically get yourself an edge.
Would you rather have seen a stolen base there?
Well, you look for, you got a guy at the plate that's got good bat control, etc. Just hit the ball to the right side. You got the big hole on the right. Use the speed, put the hit and run on. Cairo, real good position, situation player. But I understand what Willie's talking about here. I mean, you're sitting here all day. You got 7 hits, you haven't scored, and you got a guy that's throwing lights out and a bunch of strikeouts on the mound. At least just get even. Get across the board and even with it. Because you got your number 3 and 4 hitters coming up.
Well, Beltran today 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. He is 0 for 8 the last 2 days, and that's a strike. The Mets 0 for 6 with men in scoring position this afternoon.
Looked like they had a pretty good pitch to hit right there.
Right on the corner. 2 pitches ago, I think the only disagreement Smoltz has had all day with plate umpire Jim Joyce. High fly, right field. He stunned this one. Headed for the stands and gone. It's a 2-run homer for Carlos Beltran. And believe it or not, the New York Mets have the lead. For the first time since the 9th inning on opening day, Beltran bashes one. And the Mets lead it 2-1 over Smoltz. Pedro has the lead. How do you like that? 15 strikeouts in a magnificent performance by Smoltz, and he's going to leave the mound on the short end of it. Bobby Cox out to get him. How much juice was left in that battery once he got to about 90 pitches? Well, it was a brilliant day, and listen to the fans here as Smoltz walks away. But he walks away kicking at the first base line. Beltran just kicked him a 2-run homer. Our Verizon call to the bullpen. The Mets lead it in the 8th. Carlos Beltran, that's the look of joy on the left, so to speak, and despair on the right. And just seconds before the home run, their roles were totally reversed, because Smoltz had owned Carlos as well as everybody else. But Beltran has changed the whole complexion of this thing with this swing, Tom Seaver.
A hanger, yep, little hanger just about mid-thigh high. Great job by Carlos Beltran. Smoltz left that ball right in the middle of the plate. And on one swing of the bat, in just a wisp of the moment, the whole season, the whole specter changes right here in Atlanta.
Cliff Floyd gets a hold of this one, driving Andrew Jones back to the wall, and that one's gone. Back to back go the Mets. Cliff has to go back and make sure he touches first. And so now it'll count. Around he goes, and that makes it 3-1 the Mets. Floyd, who had struck out all 3 times against Smoltz, tags Martin. And some breathing room for the Mets. They didn't have much of that all day against Smoltz, but oh, how things have changed here in the 8th inning.
Boy, nice to see some smiles in the dugout of the New York Mets. Maybe that's what they needed, to let themselves exhale and just relax and play the game the way that they know how. Great job by Pedro Martinez to keep his club right there. And a couple of real clutch base hits back-to-back right in the middle of this lineup for the Mets. Left-hander against left-hander, fastball right down the middle, ball carrying right out over that Dale Murphy sign in left center field. Out there with Eddie Matthews, one of the great home run hitters of all time. Former Milwaukee Brave and Atlanta Brave.
Number 2 for Cliff Floyd. Beltran moments before that against Smoltz hit his 2nd of the year. We talked when we came on the air about Pedro Martinez being acquired, among other things, to be a stopper and then losing skids. The Mets 0-5 out of the gate. That one driven into right field by Minkiewicz. Backing up Langerhans, turning. Hits up against the fence. Minkiewicz wants 2. The play at second won't get him. He's got a double. Well, the Mets have gone homer, double, and a near home run by Minkiewicz there. Just a few feet away from being 3 in a row. He tagged that one.
The hitting shoes have been put on by the Mets. Didn't take very long for Bobby Cox coming out of that bullpen, and this missed a home run by about 3 feet off that wall. So 4 hits in the inning for the Mets, 3 extra bases and 2 home runs.
Wow, Beltran, Floyd, and Minkiewicz had been 0 for 9 with 6 strikeouts before exploding here in the 8th inning. It's our Verizon call to the bullpen. Back in a moment. 8th inning, Mets leading Atlanta 3-1. Met fans, don't miss a minute of the action when you're on the road. You can join the hundreds of thousands of Major League Baseball fans watching live games online. The MLB.TV is the best package for you when you're traveling out of the market. You can watch 97% of all the games on your computer live. Sign up today at www.mlb.tv. Tom Seaver, Dave O'Brien with you on a Sunday afternoon in Atlanta. Last game of the road trip. Cologne coming on to pitch here. The right-hander will face David Wright in what has turned into an explosive inning for the Mets. We're all thinking the same thing. It's about time. Jose Reyes with a base hit to start it. He was bunted over before Beltran did to the Braves exactly what he did last October in the division series when he was playing for Houston at the time. And he had 4 home runs in 5 playoff games and hit .455. Carlos Beltran did not miss it, and ripping a line drive 2-run homer into the stands. Cliff Floyd would follow with a back-to-back shot of his own, and Minkiewicz has doubled. He's at second. That one gets right by the catcher, Estrada, skipping to the backstop. And Mientkiewicz is down to third. One man out on the wild pitch.
A great pitcher's duel so far in the ball game until all of a sudden this inning the Mets are playing a different kind of ball game. And the Braves defensively a couple of lapses in this inning.
Pedro Martinez inching closer to his first Met victory. The infield leaning in for Atlanta. Fly to center field. That's hit deep. Jones back. Track wall. Kiss it goodbye. That's a 2-run homer. The third home run in the inning for the Mets. Wright, who had also been 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts, blasts away to dead center field. And the Mets explode for 5 here in the 8th. Home runs by Beltran, Floyd, and David Wright. And this game has been turned on its ear.
That ball club very happy to see John Smoltz go, and they are celebrating now. David Wright gets a 2-0 fastball right down Broadway. I mean, right where he wants it on a tee, and straight away center field for his second home run of the season. And that one well over 400 feet to dead center field. Great contact, looking fastball. He's got it in the driver's seat with a 2-0 count, and right down on the ball. Great line right down on the ball and dead center field.
Right down and right out. In there for a strike on Castro. Ramon Castro with 2 hits today. Mets now in double figures with 11 hits. 5 of them here in the 8th. 4 of them for extra bases. 3 homers and a double. Castro with a swing and a miss, and he's out on strikes. 2 away.
Looked like fastball up above top the strike zone. It was. That's a pretty good day with a couple of base hits, David.
Well, it has been a fascinating day to say the least, with the mesmerizing performance of John Smoltz and that of Pedro Martinez. I mean, here the Mets are with Eric Valent batting, having struck out 16 times today. But they also have pounded out 11 hits and 3 home runs and have a 5-1 lead. And Pedro is coming up to hit for himself. And why not the way Martinez is throwing, as he has set down the side in order 3 consecutive innings, and the bullpen remains seated.
How quickly the game can turn. You and I were, when we went to commercial for a moment, you and I were talking about, well, how many strikeouts could Smoltz have? We're in the 20s. All of a sudden, that is nothing but a memory.
He finished with 15. He didn't walk anybody. But right now, he's going to lose it. And he will be 0-2. And Pedro has allowed only 2 hits the entire day as he waits in the on-deck area. Bases empty, 2 out, 5 runs in for the Mets. All week since the 9th inning on opening day, they had not been in front of any opponent until now. Came into this inning down 1-0. Willie Randolph dying to celebrate his first managerial win. Get the Mets into the win column for the first time in 05. They will be the last team to get a win should this occur today. Valent is on with ball 4. And now comes Pedro Martinez to swing. Carlos Beltran with a rocket home run. Carlos with his 2nd home run of the season. Pedro 0 for 3 today, but he could care less. And as he is the 9th man to hit in this inning, and he takes a strike. This crowd went from joyous to shocked
and disbelief in a couple of seconds, didn't they?
36,601 looking on here at Turner Field. They got great crowds over the weekend, averaging about 42,000 a game for the 3-game weekend series. Got 128,000 through here. They came out to see their rivals in the National League East. Today they came out to see a sweep that may not happen, even though Smoltz was brilliant. But Pedro Martinez has been terrific as well. And suddenly he has a 4-run lead.
And pitching a nifty little 2-hitter, as you just said. Overshadowed by the number of strikeouts that Smoltz had. He's fashioned himself a perfect little ball game so far.
You've had games before you've struck out, 14, 15, 16 and lost, right? Happened a couple times.
I don't remember that happening.
We're going to look that up. I have a feeling you might remember it, so I'm going to trust your memory on that.
No. If I did, that has long been purged from my memory. You don't want to remember those things.
Oh, what a killer for Smoltz. Wright's home run, by the way, traveled 418 feet. He really did get it all. Beltran's was 346. Floyd's 394. A 3-homer inning. Well, if you left us before the 8th inning got underway, you saw Pedro Martinez, although he's pitching a terrific game, behind 1-0. Now, as we go to the bottom of the 8th, he actually has a 5-1 lead as the Mets knock John Smoltz, and a reliever, right out of this thing on a slew of home runs. Carlos Beltran with a line shot to right. Cliff Floyd going to left center, and David Wright just absolutely crushing his to center field, all with home runs.
Two really good veteran pitchers here today, and one of the things Pedro has done is has never wavered. It's a 9-inning ball game, and keeping my ball club, and keeping the pressure on, keeping my ball club in the ball game. And one mistake. We saw a couple of base running mistakes in the ball game already. But one hanger, one break, take advantage of it, and that's what that's what outstanding pitchers do. Pedro has done that.
He's set down 10 in a row. High fly ball left field. Floyd there with room behind him, and he's got it right at the edge of the warning track. 11 straight retired by Pedro Martinez.
Look at the contact here of all 3 home runs. They all look like they're just about center of Broadway, isn't it? All up. Look right there. All about the same spot, same kind of bad angles. Wright really gets his hands way up high on that picture on the right.
That's about a perfect swing out of David Wright there.
They have all those pitches right in the middle of the plate.
Floyd giving chase on the flare by Longerhands, out of play off to the left side.
And that's the point we made too, David. Remember, we're talking about keeping yourself alive. If you're a hitter and you're facing John Smolt, or you're facing Pedro Martinez, he's going to get you out. And one of the things that happens is hitters don't get to the mistakes that they finally do make and hit the ball hard. They miss the mistakes of the pitcher. That's when you'd rather be lucky than good. And that's what the Mets did not do. They took advantage of those pitches that were bad pitches in the middle of the strike zone, especially one by Beltran.
It's one of the more interesting early season games I've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
The Mets have struck out 17 times. We go back 2 hours. 2 hours, 20 minutes, just before we did the opening lineups today. Shot out to Reyes, but he hoovers that up and right on target with the throw. 2 out.
Does he have a gun from shortstop?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And if I had said to you, Tom, John Smoltz is going to strike out 15 today, and the Mets are going to strike out 17 or more times this afternoon in Atlanta, you say, well, they're 0-6 going home. Haven't won this one yet.
Yep.
2 out here in the bottom of the 8th inning, but up 5-1.
They're looking a lot better right now, aren't they? Than they were about 30 minutes ago.
Wilson Betterman to pinch hit here in the pitcher spot for Bobby Cox. Pedro Martinez trying to make him 12th consecutive man retired. And foul getting a piece of Castro. As you look at the pitch count, 92, 66 strikes.
And he's usually about 100 pitches as a max. Nobody in the bullpen for the Mets. 2 outs here. He's going to run out. I would run him right back out there in the 9th inning. There's the brain trust. Willie Randolph and Rick Peterson to his left. Right on the screen, the pitching coach.
Pedro has thrown nothing but strikes in this inning.
That's what they're talking about right now, too.
This
Do we run him out there on the ninth?
Yeah,
not 200 pitches yet.
Finally missed one there. He had thrown 7 straight strikes. Two balls, 1 strike. No Brave has reached first base since the 4th inning against Martinez. That one snapped in there for a strike. 2-2.
Breaking ball on the outside corner. A little hanging something there, huh?
Nobody on base, and that breaking ball kind of rolled off his fingers.
Threw it right back. He hung the slider before, got away with it. With the breaking ball on the outside part of the plate, got underneath it, and then said, "No, I can throw a good curveball." Came back and just barely missed. I think he had the hitter fooled. There it is.
A dandy for strike 3. His 9th of the day. Pedro has been outstanding, and 3's been a charm for the Mets. Pedro Martinez closing in on a win in the first Met victory of the year, not just his own. As we are on to the 9th inning, Tom Seaver, Dave O'Brien with you on a sunny day from Atlanta. 5-1 the Mets. They've out-hit Atlanta 11-2. As Jorge Sosa comes on, he was very impressive here last night, throwing his fastball, running it up there around 95, 96. And not to be undervalued, the base hit of Jose Reyes, leading off the 8th inning against John Smoltz, who started the inning with 15 strikeouts and a 1-0 lead.
And they had Reyes looking bad on a couple of curveballs and threw him a fastball and got a base hit. Huge base hit to get things going.
Miguel Cairo on deck. He bunted him over, and then the home run surge began. Beltran, Floyd, and then a double by Minkiewicz. He just missed a homer, followed by another homer by David Wright up the middle and a base hit. And Reyes has a 3-hit day. He's thinking double. Here's the throw off line, and he dives in safe. He turns a single into 2. And if you blinked, you missed it.
We talked about the great speed of Jose Reyes, and he's thinking double coming out of the box. That's just getting yourself organized and thinking that you can get there if you hit that ball in that situation. Well, you see him, I'm getting rid of this hat. This hat is bothering me, and if there's one hesitation whatsoever in the outfield, Reyes is going to get himself to second base. That's exactly what he does. Boy, great hustle and great anticipation.
3 for 5 for Jose, who had 2 hits last night. A bunt by Cairo. Reyes into third. Cairo out at first. And the Mets have another runner 90 feet away. Here comes Carlos Beltran, and we check back to the 8th inning. And look at this swing.
Yeah, we talk about mistakes. Just mid-thigh, a little breaking ball that rolled and did not snap. Didn't have a real good break on it, taking advantage of it. And Beltran with his 2nd home run of the season. Well, that's one of the biggest ones he's going to hit all year. Indeed, right there. Yeah. To get the Mets out of the doldrums that they've been in the first 5 games of this season.
Infield in here for Atlanta. Carlos 1 for 4 with that 2-run homer. He's also struck out twice and reached on an error. So the Mets with a dozen hits today, while also striking out 17 times. That's going to look funny in that morning box score. 1-0 pitch, a wave and a miss. Pedro getting ready to go back out because there's no one throwing in that bullpen. It's Pedro's show on this Sunday. Sosa from the belt will deliver. Ground ball in the middle, base hit, and a 3 RBI day for Beltran. That chases in Reyes. Boy, that's where speed gets you a run, gets you an RBI if you're Carlos Beltran. As Reyes turned that single into a double.
3 RBIs on the day for Carlos Beltran, set up by real good base running and hustle by Jose Reyes. Real good 2-strike swing. You got the infield playing in. The law of the land at that situation, make contact. He kept that bat square to the pitcher's mound. It just bounced it right up the middle, and the Mets got their 6th run on the board.
6 runs in the last 2 innings.
Good hustle and good clutch hitting right there. Real smart hitting by Beltran as well.
Cliff Floyd going for the fences again, but he connected the last time up.
Well, the Mets a couple of home runs in the 8th inning, back-to-back. Beltran and then Floyd to the opposite field. Tom Martin came in, didn't get anybody out, gave up a double and a home run.
Cliff's had a very solid series here in Atlanta. Last night he did it more with his arm than his bat as he threw out 2 Braves, Chipper Jones and LaRoche at the plate. Runner goes, pitches high. Here's the throw, and not nearly in time. He was down there sliding into the bag well before the throw. And a theft of second for Carlos Beltran.
Yeah, a big jump at first base by Beltran. That's his first stolen base of the year. Mets again, another man at scoring position. Boy, 13 hits here, David. You're right. That's going to be an awkward-looking box score tomorrow morning.
Floyd will be intentionally walked here to put runners at first and second and set up a double play. And Cavich up next. He doubled in the 8th inning. Carlos Beltran last year, remember, nearly became the 4th player in Major League history to record a 40-40 season. He was just a couple of home runs, 2 home runs short of that. He had the necessary stolen bases and lifts his first of the year this afternoon. So he's at second. Floyd takes ball 4. He is at first, and Minkiewicz is next. And you wonder what's going to be going through Doug Minkiewicz's mind at some point tomorrow afternoon when the Boston Red Sox are getting their World Series championship rings that he helped them win. Same would have to hold true of that man, Pedro Martinez, who has made the comment that he felt he was disrespected by the front office in Boston, and essentially they can keep their World Series ring. I asked Doug if the Red Sox are planning on sending anybody, which is typical protocol. They'll send a representative from the front office to personally deliver, to hand deliver the ring, and he said, I told him just put it in the mail. I don't think they'll do that, though.
What about registered mail? This is not. You're talking about regular mail, or
registered mail might be a good.
Yeah, it might be a good idea.
Yeah. That's something. If it's me, it absolutely positively has to be there overnight.
I think I'd go pick it up myself. I get on that shuttle and jump on up there, and so I'll be there about 6:15. You wait for me.
Runners at first and second. Another run in for the Mets, who lead it 6-1. Flared foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The Mets are coming home to Shea Stadium. 1:10 tomorrow against the Houston Astros. Andy Pettit will do the pitching for Houston. Roger Clemens to pitch on Wednesday at Shea.
Not going to get any easier for him the next 3 days, is it?
No, sir. Tommy Glavine to counter Pettit tomorrow, so a lefty duel. Sets up that way on paper is a pretty good pitcher's duel, but will it match what we saw here today through the first 7 innings with Pedro Martinez and John Smoltz, both magnificent. Pedro's still in there, having allowed just 2 hits. And he will go out for the bottom of the 9th at this point. Runners at first and second, 1 away. Fly ball lifted to deep right field, but playable. Langerhans there to make the catch. Beltran, very good speed, will advance into third. Slides in successfully. 2 down. Minkiewicz has had some good looking swings today. But David Wright had the best swing of the day, I think, in the 8th.
Yeah, bat into the fireworks. David Wright. He got a 2-0 fastball, and that's straightaway center field. The Mets just fired a 5 spot up in that inning.
I mean, the most meaningful cut of the day was obviously Beltran with a 2-run homer, but Wright just crushed his.
It's a bit of making a statement, too, that this is not a singular offensive team. That we will take advantage, and we will not, we'll pour it on if we get a chance.
The Mets have done that the last 2 frames.
They're not real happy about being on 5. I don't think they're much concerned whether they hurt the Atlanta Braves' feelings or not. Not much care if John Smoltz has his feelings hurt because of all of a sudden a beautiful game gone in a heartbeat.
Boy, it did too, didn't it?
Yeah. On the other side of the coin, what's just become more beautiful is the two-hitter that Pedro has masterfully been able to spin out there today.
Not very often you can say a guy throwing a two-hitter through 8 innings is overshadowed, but that did happen with that strikeout string of John Smoltz, 15 of them before he was knocked off the hill.
And both pitchers saving a run at third base when there were less than 2 outs. Both of them did it.
0-2, he chased it for strike 3. That means the Mets have struck out 18 times today, but Pedro and company have a 6-1 lead. Another gem for Pedro Martinez coming off his 12 strikeout opening day performance. Well, he's thrown a two-hitter through the first 8 innings of this one. He has retired the last 13 consecutive Braves. And he has a 6-1 lead. The Mets closing in on their first win of the year. He gets Rafael Furcal, Pete Orr, and then Chipper Jones scheduled to hit here in the bottom of the 9th. And none of these gentlemen have a hit today. And a wild cut. Furcal nearly lost his hard hat there.
Furcal trying to hit a 5-run home run and tie this game up, isn't he? You're down 5. He's hacking at the first pitch.
And the second. Smooth backhand stop by Minkiewicz, who won a Gold Glove with Minnesota. 1 man out. That's 14 in a row.
Well, our GM turning point of the ball game, and you can guess what it is. Carlos Beltran. The Mets stymied for most of the day against John Schmaltz. And then bingo, a 2-run home run in the 8th. And the Mets jumped up on top. That's our GM turning point of the ball game. Beltran with 3 RBIs on the day. Got a stolen base.
Swing and a high fly by Orr.
Or is Pedro making it look easy or what?
That's 15 straight batters retired.
He is just actually making it look like child's play.
His last complete game of shutout August 12, 2004 for the Boston Red Sox. And 1 out away from going all the way for the Mets in his second start. He has Chipper Jones to get, and that'll be it. And the Mets will finally be in the win column. First ball swinging, pops it up. In comes Beltran. He's got it. And the Mets have a win, 6-1 over the Atlanta Braves, as Pedro Martinez goes all the way and retires the last 16 Braves he faces in a spectacular performance. He throws a complete game 2-hitter.
He's gone. Willie Randolph's welcome to the club. First win as a manager. Nice going, Willie.
Smiles everywhere. Hey, join us on a WB11 for our next Met telecast Saturday at 1 when the Mets play the Marlins. Now stay tuned for the Three Stooges already in progress. I don't think you've missed anything really important, but the Mets win 6-1. Thanks for joining us. For Tom Seaver, I'm Dave O'Brien saying good day from Atlanta.